Awesome. I think some of the best research right now happening on youth civic engagement is happening out of Circle, doing some really interesting stuff with focus groups, with conversations, around young people and various kinds of civic engagement, not just voting, not just conventional politics. One of the things that Circle and other research groups are finding is that young people, especially college students, are much less interested in being labeled as Democrat, Republican, even progressive. All those things don't really matter as much as issues do, and that they're much more interested in connecting with students, with kind of peers socially, and working on issues, service projects and service learning and all that kind of stuff. I'm working with a group of folks to put together kind of the next iteration of the Cool Conference, which was very much a reflection of that, started years ago, 20 years ago, by college students. So if anyone's interested in working with me on that, see me in the back. But I'm wondering what you all are doing or what you all are seeing around connecting students across perspectives, across issues, getting conversations going outside of just those siloed, we're just going to talk about genocide, we're just going to talk about democratic politics, we're just going to talk about voting.
I think partisan politics is one of the biggest challenges I have in terms of organizing, particularly young people of color, right? I mean, you're talking about one party that ignores you and one party that takes you for granted. And even though there's been a lot of outreach, in particular with this cycle and the field of candidates that we have so far, I think it's the partisan politics that really turns people off. And so the way that what I'm seeing in terms of movement is more finding those cross-cutting cleavages for young people like military, finding those issues that help make their politics more relevant, similar to what Matt's saying. So we're talking about going into Iran. Does that mean a draft? What will that look like for you? And having a conversation about that I think actually really does help energize young voters.
From the partisan, I think the challenge that Alexis is raising is right, and so I'll answer from the kind of partisan perspective. Working for the John Edwards campaign, we're doing something this summer which I think campaigns are not supposed to do. You're not supposed to go out there you're supposed to go out as a campaign and talk about the candidate, right? So we're supposed to say John Edwards, John Edwards, John Edwards, and everybody will go vote for John Edwards. What we've decided to do as the campaign is because I think John and Elizabeth were both doing this ultimately when they were speaking anyway, is to really turn the spotlight around and focus on what young people were doing on issues anyway. I mean, if you think about global warming or Darfur, healthcare, a lot of the issues that the Iraq War that are key right now that we're talking about in the campaign, it's young people that are exhibiting a lot of the leadership on those issues. I mean, Darfur wouldn't be the public issue it is right now if it hadn't been for the Stand movement and the people who took leadership in saying, hey, we need to take a moral stand as a generation, as a country, against the genocide. There are hundreds of campuses across this country that have gone carbon neutral. And that's something, as the Edwards were making a decision to make their own campaign carbon neutral, they were kind of looking at that and saying, that's what we need to do. So this summer, our decision was to say, hey, you tell us what you're doing. So we launched something called Summer of Action. And so you tell us what we're doing. We're not going to be out there campaigning saying why young people, why Edwards for young people. We're going to be saying, hey, tell us what you're doing because we think you're already exhibiting the kind of leadership that this country needs, and engaging people on those issues because we think it's, first of all, we're a long way from the election, and that's the kind of substantive, thoughtful engagement that we think young people will appreciate, and that's also more significantly that's just important and needed for this country right now.